Well, Lori, we're live on LinkedIn here. It threw me off for a second because I'm so used to hitting the go live button on GoToWebinar, and it's usually who's here, but we don't know. So excited for any guests that we have here joining us. My name's Jared Hackbart. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Brilliance. I've been at Brilliance for 5 years officially, which is super exciting, and every day I get to learn something new. I thoroughly enjoy working at Brilliance, specifically for one of the topic that we're going to discuss here today, which doing live site reviews. While I know they can be stress inducing for my co-host here today, but it's fun to look at businesses that are doing powerful things with their digital presence and also pointing out some opportunities for growth. So I'll let Lori go ahead and introduce herself.
Yes. Hello. This is a fun new medium for us to try out today. I'm Lori McDonald. My background's in computer electrical engineering. What most people remember about me is that I worked at NASA Johnson Space Center as a flight controller for the space shuttle program. I ended up meeting my husband there. He also was a flight controller at NASA, also has an engineering background, and he eventually went to work at Rockwell Automation. And through that, we ended up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He had a job promotion to Rockwell's headquarters here, where he managed their largest data warehouse. And that was in 1998. So we ended up in Milwaukee, and I was trying to figure out what could be a school of space. And the web was in its infancy, and I decided to start a web development company. And with my technical background, realized that we were kind of uniquely equipped to help manufacturers and distributors implement digital commerce solutions. And so that's what we've done organizationally at Brilliance. 9 years ago, my husband, Dave, left his job at Rockwell, and now he leads our development team. And we've seen a lot of exciting growth over the years. We made the Inc. 5000 list last year, which was super exciting. And we just have a lot of fun working with manufacturers and distributors, helping them to leverage the power of digital to grow their businesses. And yeah, Jared, this is a fun conversation today. I do get somewhat anxious in live site reviews just from the live nature of it. I've done this a bit at IRCE in the past. You never know quite what you might be asked to take a look at or give feedback on. And, my background's not in user interface design, so there are certainly people that can speak to that. But what I do have a fair amount of experience in, doing this work over the last 20 years is working in the B2B space and understanding what strategies in digital really make a difference for organizations and being able to give feedback about some things that we've seen that work well for companies. So yeah, this will be fun.
Absolutely. So we welcome anyone to go ahead and punch in your web address. We will be friendly. And we'll be happy to go through your site and provide some points of feedback, as well as hopefully some areas where we think you're doing things really well.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we do have some examples prep that we'll go through, and we'll start with Lori is a contributor to various mediums when it comes to providing resources around the digital space, specifically with e-commerce. And she wrote an article actually, I think this one is pretty recent now that
from January. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. About digital or specifically some what we're doing here today, reviewing some examples of sites that are doing things well. So Lori, would you like to touch on that article? Here, I can pull it up.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. Let's take a look at it. So, at a high level in the article, we kind of walked through different features that B2B companies are leveraging with digital. And one of the things that I love about, live site reviews or site reviews in general is looking at what other organizations are doing that could help you serve your customers better. And one of those things is quick order capability. We certainly have several clients who leverage quick order. This example here is from Grainger. We'll pull up Grainger's website in a minute and take a look at it as well. But just at a high level, quick order capability is when you're keying in SKUs and quantities really quickly to add several items to your cart. And there are different flavors of quick order. Sometimes you'll see organizations where you can like upload a CSV file to put several items in your cart at once. But the idea here is really making it easy for organizations that frequently order the same products from you. And another example I have in this article is subscription sales, and an example company that is near and dear to my heart, NewPig. So I think NewPig is a company that I think does so many things well from a B2B perspective, and I love to use for inspiration and also to use it as an example. And specifically in terms of subscriptions, subscriptions is an area that I think is a real growth opportunity across the board, whether you're in B2B or B2C. But subscriptions can be powerful because it enables you to increase the total value of that customer, to see recurring revenue, and also to provide something of value to a customer. If you've got a product that they potentially are going to need over and over, you'll see in this example here with NewPig, they're allowing people to buy it, just to have it shipped that one time, but also to buy with auto ship and to control how frequently they're going to receive it. And actually, if it's okay with you, Jared, I think maybe I'll just go to the NewPig site a bit and talk to some of the other things on NewPig site as well. Is that okay if we switch over here? Because I really love NewPig site. There are so many things that they do that I think are just a really great. First they have some really clever marketing, like leveraging like the idea of like their pig concepts they use in like fun ways throughout their site. But also, they do a really nice job, I think, of leveraging content and commerce together and creating a site that helps you in finding the products that you're looking for and getting some good information and being better educated about what you're buying. They do a really nice job of like leveraging reviews. So you'll see how they use reviews to give you confidence that you're buying a product that other people like and value. And you see how they have these like bestseller icons. These are other ways of indicating to you that this is a product that other people like, so that those layovers are also really nice. I mentioned how they use content and commerce together. And so on their homepage here, you see they've got these like featured resources that are all around, their products are all around spill containment. And so they have different articles that talk about, tips around containment. And if you go and read the content that they have, when you're on those content pages, it leads you back into the products, buy those products. So, I think this is a really great example of how organizations should be thinking about how to leverage both, resources and content alongside the products that they have to offer as well. I've been talking a bunch, Jared. What do you think?
You can talk all you want, Lori. No, I agree. I think NewPig does so many things really well. One of the things that always stands out to me when I come to their site is the use of color and how from that perspective they're driving your eyes to the things they want you to see. So when you go, for example, on the page that Lori has listed here currently, what are your eyes drawn to? They're drawn to the COVID announcement that they have in their response there on the top. The cart button is highlighted a different color. There's we have a connection. I'm going to name drop him in here. Rob Saraki from Optimal. He's brilliant. If you ever have an opportunity and you're looking for support on SEO, paid, and other marketing related services, they're excellent. But through conversations with him, he's talked to us about how it's within human nature to be drawn to the color red, and I think it correlates back to the idea of when you think of a car accident, like the scene and blood essentially is what it comes down to. But in this instance, my eyes are drawn to, the things that they want you to see. They want you to see the cart button. They want you to see that COVID announcement. Yeah. I think on the lower part of the page as well, they highlight their sign up for their newsletter.
I just closed it. Yep, they did. Yeah, they had their newsletter sign up. Yeah, and
yeah, exactly. So they do a really nice job of leveraging color. Outside of that, I'd echo what you had shared in here in regards to the use of both content and commerce. It's something that I feel like gets so lost. Well, maybe not even lost. I feel like B2B organizations right now are making steps in the right direction to be supporting that concept. But more often than not, when you go to a B2B organization and they're selling they have an e-commerce platform, it's usually just product pages and products that you can look at and the different materials that you can potentially purchase. Leveraging content in this way to drive opportunity is so powerful, and I think they do a great job.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think when organizations think about digital commerce, oftentimes they're drawn to how do we sell our products online, which obviously is kind of the natural thing that you're thinking of. But when you're thinking about competing with other people online, with larger organizations online, with the Amazons of the world, or other much larger competitors, obviously, you can only go so far to compete on price. And then you're also competing on availability and speed of delivery and other things that are going to help you to be more competitive. But leveraging content can really help to position you as, an expert, as someone who knows those products and can provide other value outside of the cost of your products, and helps you to develop a relationship with the people that are on your site. So I think for organizations who are looking at how do they better compete, like really thinking through your content strategy as a part of that is really key. I also love this daily deal that New Pig has. So they do some things that we might commonly think of more in terms of a B2C kind of an upsell, and yet they are they're a B2B site. So if I add something to my cart. And I think this can be just a fun exercise to do sometimes, just to kind of walk through different companies' checkout processes and let's see what does it look like. They're telling me, this is a ship one time. They let me do quick order in the cart, and then they show me those daily deals in the shopping cart, which again is kind of just drawing my eye to this is a limited time offer that I can get it at this price. And so just potentially makes me want to add more items to my cart. So I just think they do a really nice job, also using live chat. And they, if you look at this here, they're also telling people, if you want some help from a customer service person, you call in, they're giving you a number that you could give the person you call to be able to find the order that you've already started and to help you from there. So just really thinking about this idea of, how do we really take a holistic look? In some places they call this unified commerce, pulling together your offline and online activities to support your customers, whether they're on your site or they're choosing to pick up the phone and call you, and really kind of creating a holistic experience.
Absolutely. I'd also add in conjunction with that daily deal section there, when you scroll down a little bit, they do a really nice job with those overlays. Specifically, I think in the previous product page where they reference it being a bestseller, in addition to that, they have the reviews displayed very nicely, very visible. Reviews can play such a powerful conversion piece to your funnel, and I think just overall, again, speaking to everything they do on their site is just done really, really well.
Yeah, I agree. So this is where it makes it, I think it can be fun to look at what are other organizations doing that you can pick up and learn from in terms of best practices. And certainly there is a lot, we have Haley, our UI UX designer on our team. She's fabulous and knows more than I do about Jared, you were referring to colors and the best way to lay things out and everything else. I do think there's a lot that we can learn when we look at organizations who are successful with their digital commerce strategy in terms of what they're doing, and to think about what can we learn from knowing the fact that this is an important strategy for them and what they're doing, and to get some ideas for what would be successful for us too. Yeah, and so one of the other companies I always enjoy looking at from a B2B perspective is Grainger. I think there are so many things that one could look at here. If we search, I think can be a really compelling thing to look at on different sites that are really invested in digital commerce. In B2B, things like search can be tricky because in this example for Screw, there are lots of different screws that potentially look similar, and yet you need to help customers to find the right one. And so, looking here that they're recommending products here and enabling me to add those to my cart from the search. That's pretty cool. They're also giving me like other variations of what I might be searching on, both in terms of brands and product categories and other keyword suggestions of what I might be looking for. And if I go into the search results page, they're going to make it even easier for me to continue to drill down into finding, the right product, helping me like think through like what kind of screw am I looking for, enabling me to visually narrow as well as with words in that process, which obviously can be very helpful. Again, kind of using overlays to draw eyes in, it can be good to, it's important to think through what you position where on a page to really help. Ideally, you're going to put what you think they're most likely to want, like at the top or in the first result. And machine learning technology can be helpful in that process too, as a part of looking at what behavior someone's taking as they go through your site, and identifying what results you think are going to be most important to them. Jared, what do you notice?
Actually, I'm going to throw you a curveball here. Could you pull up partsmaster.com?
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
Building off of that same conversation with search, if you type screws into their search, it's very similar in the sense that you will go ahead and you'll see images kind of start to populate. But what I think is pretty cool and powerful about their search is on the very bottom they have, if you keep the search bar open.
Oh, sorry.
If you go to screws, they have suggested articles, going back to what we were speaking to at the beginning around leveraging content and commerce in this joint fashion.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty cool a little add to the power of their search tool and how they're going about bringing relevant information to their users. So it's not just about a product, it's also about content that could be relevant to that product.
Yeah, that's a great point. And thinking about how do you want to leverage content like those resources along with your products on the site. It may have been that someone came to your site and is in the process of searching and looking for a product, but at the same time, you might be able to provide them with some resources that help them in that process, and better educate them, and therefore, really reinforcing that relationship that you want to build with someone. So yeah, it's a great point about the resources. I also think that's also something I like about once you get to their actual search results page, is that here too, you're able to get to articles from this page as well. And really making it easy for someone, maybe they were looking for a product, and so making it easy for them to, start here, but also enabling them to get to those resources quickly and easily. It's a great point. Yeah. I think one of the other things I notice on the Grainger side is the fact that they're so they've already figured out where I am. Like I'm not logged in, right? So I'm guessing they're using my IP address to figure out. They're using where my computer's coming from to identify where I am and when an item's expected to arrive for me. So this type of information, being able to say like when you're likely to get something, and for that to be relatively soon, those types of things are important to think about as a part of a digital commerce journey. Like obviously you're not going to be there out of the gate, and it'll be important to identify like where do you start. But being able to predict availability and have this type of information really is going to require organizations to have other systems in place. That it means that you have to have really great systems around your inventory and fulfillment and your supply chain management that are going to help you to know when you can get a product to a certain zip code. But and I love, we talk a lot about faceted search, the power of faceted search. One of the things that they're doing well here is that, so they have head type here as a way that I can narrow my search. Obviously, if I was searching for paint, like this wouldn't be the way I would narrow a search. And so the ways I narrow my search are going to be different based on the search I do itself. And setting up this type of search has a fair amount of like data complexity to it, which is often conversations we'll get involved with customers, is like thinking through what data is best, how to structure the data that they have currently, and then how to improve on it over time. Because many times organizations don't already have their data in good enough shape to pull this off, and it's kind of an ongoing effort to improve the state of their data.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Laura, I just sent you.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, so, again, building off of the reductive navigation conversation,
Yeah.
and what Laura mentioned earlier in regards to just taking time, doing an exercise of going through other B2B e-commerce websites and going through checkouts and testing things out to find cool new functionality. That's actually what drew me to this piece of functionality I'm going to point out. But this is one of the first times I had actually seen this on the reductive navigation. They had a type-in size, which I thought was really brilliant in terms of, Uline. Obviously, they sell everything you could possibly need for a warehouse, and their products are so extensive. When you look at buying a box, you could have so many different variants, and the fact that they've made this very just subtle but very intuitive feature to add in the size to search through versus clicking through a reductive navigation, I think is just, brilliant. Very well done, and it's super, super cool to use. Fun to use.
It is very well done. So what I'm interested in is knowing if I look at, like, what does this look like on a mobile device? Maybe not so good. But maybe it does. Maybe if I went on a mobile device, maybe they would redirect me to a different page. That's possible. But so I think those are always interesting things to think about too. And a challenge that can exist in B2B is when you've got this much data and like in different way, so many different things that need to be considered as part of a purchase. Like how are you going to display that data in a way that's going to work across devices? And also knowing like where are people purchasing from you? Like, is that critical for you? Or maybe are people using tablets? Maybe the cell phone isn't the way that they're likely to be ordering. So
I did pull it up on my mobile, and per no surprise, being Uline, it's done really well.
Yeah, that was my guess. Is that maybe that they have a different display for people coming in from a phone. Yes.
Yeah, the reductive navigation ends up becoming much smaller, and this graph that you see here sitting in the front is essentially what makes up the majority of the screen. But regardless, to your point, it is always good to be thinking about how your information is going to look and be displayed on a mobile device, as that's become such a pivotal part of our day-to-day.
Yeah. Another example I wanted to bring up is Neogen. So Neogen's a customer of ours, and I think they're interesting to look at because kind of represents a different they're doing e-commerce, they're selling products, but also, their products require a fair amount of knowledge to like know what to order. So they sell food safety products, and they have different industries that they sell into. They're also a global company. And so there's a number of things here as we think about leveraging content and commerce together in terms of like, giving people the information they need to buy the right product, and also like leading them through that process of purchasing. And then also taking into the fact that people could be, coming to this website from different countries. Here there's a lot of resource information that you're able to navigate, but then again, being able to get to, products that you could purchase, as well as different resources in terms of events or, handbooks, guides that you could leverage. Again, using like a quick order, having that capability, but then also being able to, look in like, see that same content in a different language. So it's this type of capability that I think, really requires organizations who are thinking about, they're a global digital strategy to be looking at platforms that really have a focus of supporting that, like Optimizely and Episerver, that really know how to do content and commerce and that multi-language and multi-site piece really well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, another thing they do really well is personalization and experimentation. Yes. Would you mind pulling up unicosystems.com?
Yeah. Sure.
And then we can jump into your next point. But the use of personalization, I feel like, we're all probably inundated with that idea in the last 2 years. But they, right here on this page, they do a really great job of making it super simple. Who are you to Unico? Yeah. Are you a consumer or are you a professional looking to navigate their site? And when you start clicking through, then it automatically it's dynamically providing you the content that is more relevant to you. And obviously a variety of ways for you to be leveraging the idea of personalization and doing further experimentation. But this is such a simple way to be doing some of that. And I think it's done really well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. So when you think about organizations that, manufacturers that might have a different message and communication that they need to have for the end consumer versus their distributors or contractors that might be working with their products, thinking about how you make that really easy for all of those different audiences to navigate is really key. And to your point, I think one of the things that Optimizely and Episerver is really well known for, and actually one of the examples in the article that the Digital Commerce 360 article speaks to this as well on the, and let's see, maybe I'll just pull up the live site here. So here, they are using, this section here on industry news and resources is using Optimizely's content recommendations that are driven via machine learning. And so to me, this is another really interesting feature for on the whole, for B2B companies especially, and maybe for every company, but when I think in the B2B space, again, content's really important, but how do you know what content is going to be the most important to share, what's going to be most of interest? And so here what's happening is that, based on what pages I go to or where I came from or what searches I'm doing, like my behavior on the site, it's learning about me and figuring out what I'm going to be most interested in looking at. And as I click around and look at content, it's going to know better what content, what additional content I might be most interested in seeing. So, that can be really important for organizations. Jared, I think about how much work we do trying to figure out what content to write, and we have all this content that we have knowing, then what do we want to have featured on our homepage? What do we think people are going to be the most interested in? This helps make that process easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as we're running short on time, I know there is a lot more content within the Digital Commerce 360 article that you wrote. I think one of the pieces that stood out to me that I'd love for you to touch on, I think it might be relevant to the people in the audience, is the user approvals piece.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, so, I do think it's interesting to think about in B2B, often there's, you've got multiple users within a company. And so when we think in a retail setting, we often have Lori, I'm just buying for myself, but Brilliance as a company, Jared, you and I might both be making purchases, and other people on our team might be making purchases from that company. And so from what larger organizations are doing, you'll find this functionality on Grainger or here on MSC Direct, are building capabilities to enable different approval workflows for their organizations to leverage, for people within their organizations to leverage, and saying you're only, Jared, you're only allowed to spend up to $100 here, or someone else on our team, they're only allowed to spend, up to whatever amount, or you can spend over that with an approval from someone else on the team, but setting up those rules. And what's interesting is this used to be capability that really was kind of limited to in my experience, like much larger organizations with pretty big development teams. But now you're finding more software that has this capability built into it. So like as an example, Optimizely B2B Commerce Cloud has some of this budget management user approval in it. And other platforms, like Bundle B2B for BigCommerce has like some multi-user capability. It's not quite as extensive as what's in B2B Commerce Cloud, but like knowing that that's a feature that you should be thinking about how you offer, because one of the benefits to having that kind of capability is that once someone's gone and set this all up with you, like they're more likely to just want to keep ordering from you because they've done all the work. They know that if their team buys from you, they're going to be under budget. And so like, why not just keep all their purchasing with you?
Makes sense. Well, on that note, I would welcome anyone out there to give us a follow on LinkedIn for more content. We've been producing a series called Exploration Tech. If you haven't seen it, we have guests pretty frequently. Our content, I want to say, is most times you'll see it every Friday, but sometimes it switches up a little bit. Next week, we have Jackie Hermes from Excelity Marketing joining us on Thursday, I believe.
Yes.
So if you're interested in B2B LinkedIn strategies, I'd recommend you come and join us. And I'd also offer, if you are interested in doing a further dive of your current site or having a conversation about how you can be improving your digital commerce, specifically on the B2B side, we welcome that conversation. Lori, anything that you'd add before we close out?
Yeah, I just think, well, Jackie's amazing. And next week's going to be great, talking about how to leverage LinkedIn for lead generation. So yeah, I hope everyone joins us there. And this has been fun. Thanks, Jared.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.